What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Amanda back on the show for her third or fourth time. Good to have you back on, Amanda.
Hey, good to be back. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we got Dom on the show for the first time. Dom, good to have you, bro.
What's going on, brother? It's good to be here. I'm excited about this.
Hell yeah, this is the 2023 NFL mock draft. We're gonna, the draft one day away. We're all excited, and we're gonna talk about the first round and how we see it going, our favorite prospects, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm a Bears fan here. I got two Packers fans on with me, so this should be gold.
A little Midwestern reunion, guys. NFC North.
Absolutely.
Let's get it going.
All
Real
right, guys.
quick,
So I'm gonna
real
have
quick.
you two kind of
Let me
go.
Real quick, let me ask
Sorry.
you guys how Aaron Rodgers just got traded. I want to
Oh,
hear your guys' take on that real quick. Amanda, go ahead. Like,
I mean, he wasn't
yeah,
gonna play for the Packers regardless. So I'm glad we got what we did in the trade. I think we played our cards well. I do think that in-house there could have been some more positive conversations. We tend not to handle our veterans well when it's time for them to go.
Oh,
yeah,
But I do think we made off better than the Jets did in the trade. So we'll see how the year plays out.
yeah. Ready for the Jordan Love era to begin and see if you can surround him with some talent and give him the best shot to be successful. What do you think, Dom?
yeah, I definitely think we won the trade. I think it was going to be who blinked first, and I have a feeling their owner just wanted to get this done before the draft started. I know the Packers made a priority as well to get this thing done. Do I think it could have been handled better as far as the Aaron Rodgers saga end there? Yeah, absolutely, I do. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm a big fan of people who speak their minds, and not enough NFL players will speak their minds because I think of fear of recourse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think the Packers did a good job of getting what they could get. Had they traded him a year ago, they probably would have got way more. And I'm surprised they got what they get. It was what they got what they got, especially considering the fact that he went on the Pat McAfee show and said, he felt like he was 90% retired after this season. So you're not really sure what he was going to be worth, especially considering the fact that he was about to turn 40. So I
Yeah,
mean, I think
yeah,
the Packers won this trade deal, and hopefully they can do something with the draft capital moving forward.
yeah. As a Bears fan, I'm super relieved. It's the first time since I can remember that you guys don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback right now. But
That's what they've
we
said
didn't
about
we
Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, we didn't think Aaron Rodgers was gonna be, and he turned out to be. So if Jordan Love turns out to be a Hall of Famer, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm probably just gonna cry for a while. So we'll see what happens. But it's an exciting time in the NFC North. It's more wide open now than it's ever been, and I'm excited to see how these teams handle it, what the Lions do, what the Vikings do, and especially what our two teams do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
So, go ahead, Amanda, kick us off.
All right. Well, speaking of seeing how teams handle things, we'll start us off with pick number one, the Panthers. I know we all know who's going first, but Alex, I'd like to hear your opinion on Bryce Young going number one to the Panthers.
So I get it. The skill set is there, right? It makes sense. But this has to be a home run pick for the Panthers. They can't afford to miss this up. And if it were me, I'm taking CJ Stroud here. The size really concerns me. What lingers in my head about Bryce Young, fair or unfair, is what happened to Tua last year. And Tua is a little bit bigger than Bryce Young. And when you see a quarterback get ragdolled by big defensive linemen and have concussion issues, it's worrisome. And so Bryce Young's size is a little bit of a worry for me. But the talent's there. The arm talent's there. He can put the ball wherever he wants. He's a leader. He stays out of trouble. He seems like, the right pick, the safe pick. But if it were me, I'd rather have a guy who's 6'3", 215, built like an NFL quarterback. And what stands out to me about CJ Stroud is I'm a big what happens on the field guy. And last year, in the biggest game of the year against Georgia in the playoffs, when no one gave him a shot, CJ Stroud put the team in position to win that game and go to the championship game. And to me, that says a lot about CJ Stroud's potential. But I understand the Bryce Young pick, and I hope it works out for Carolina.
Yeah, that's fair. Dom, you have anything to say?
I will say that I will agree with you that his size is a concern. You know, look, I think he'd be in the bottom 1% as an outlier. You know, especially if he goes number one, which we obviously think he will. I just think that everything else that he does makes up for it. You know, he's hyper mobile. Honestly, he's not like mobile in the conventional fact like you would see in Aaron Rodgers navigate a pocket. But this guy, when you say he can really create out of nowhere. And the other concern you'd have about his height is, you know, can he see as a guy who's, you know, 5'9", 5'10", can he see over his offensive line? But if you look at his heat chart, especially if you look at the PFF metrics, he was the most accurate quarterback over the middle of the field. So if you combine the fact that he can create on the move, he's accurate, he can put the ball where he wants to. He didn't have a whole lot of deep passing yards, but when he was asked to pass deep, he had over a 95 grade. I mean, you really can't ask for a better prospect. If this guy is 6'2", 215, then he's in a tier all on his own, and it's not even a question. So I think that's where he might separate himself and why he's going to go ahead and earn himself that number one pick going to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to number 2 then and see where we're at. Dom, why don't you tell us who you've got going number 2 to the Texans?
Ooh, number 2. Okay, so this is where I think, just because of where the Texans are at, looking at their team right now, they really could use a lot of different positions. But in my humble opinion, you gotta secure that quarterback. There's really nothing like getting that leader of the team, and especially a guy like CJ Stroud. What you mentioned earlier, that, you know, one of the questions was, can he create on his own? Because you know, he's been really blessed with a huge room full of receivers who just are NFL ready. You don't really see that many receivers coming out of one school who go to the NFL and produce at that level, you know. So I just think that that was definitely going to be a question for his, but you saw it on the biggest game and the biggest stage. He found a way to create, which is widely different than what we saw in film from him when he was pressured before that game. So we know he can do it. Really, it's just going to be a question about consistency. But I think for the number 2 pick, if I'm Houston, if you're swinging for the fences here, I feel like they could trade back. They have 2 picks. But if you're swinging for the fence and you're trying to get a guy and he's a prototypical size, he can put the ball anywhere you want. He probably, to me, he has the best deep ball in the draft. I feel like you got to take him.
Okay. Yeah. Alex, I know you agree with that pick for number 2. So the Texans' top 3 needs are quarterback, wide receiver, and edge. How do you feel about some people taking Will Anderson for the Texans?
I actually don't mind that. If they go that route, I can't hate on that route. I've seen both Will Anderson Jr., I've seen Tyree Wilson in the conversation to go number 2. As long as you take a quarterback at 12, let's say you're not in love with CJ Stroud, and you want to wait until 12 and potentially get an Anthony Richardson or a Hendon Hooker or
Will
something
Levis.
like that. Will Levis even, yeah. I can understand that. Me personally, as I already said, he's my quarterback 1, so I would absolutely take CJ Stroud. But Will Anderson is a hell of a player too, and with DeMeco Ryans being the head coach, you think that maybe he wants to take care of the defense too. So it's definitely interesting which way they're gonna go.
Yeah, that's fair. So speaking of edge needs, the Cardinals at number 3, we know they need some edge efforts there. They also need a DL, a CB, and an inside linebacker. What do you think, Dom? What are the Cardinals doing at 3?
Okay, so this is one of those ones where, because it's Atlanta, you know, they did just grab themselves a younger quarterback. Could you go Will Anderson? Absolutely. I think he's one of the few blue chip prospects in the draft. He does just about everything well. He's not the bendiest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he has a luxury of pass rushing moves that he can use at his disposal. And he was played kind of unconventional in that Alabama defense. You he played a lot of 4-eye and 5 technique. He's not going to be asked to play that in the NFL. He's going to be a true edge in the NFL. So I feel like what we saw him create with 14 plus sacks on the season, he could definitely be the pick. However, once again, that positional value right there, when you got a guy as tantalizing as Anthony Richardson sitting there for you that you could really develop, and you know how it is nowadays, all these teams are running these RPO packages, and if you got a guy who can run, and this guy can run, he's different. A 10.0 RAS score, just different, 6'4", 240 pounds, running a 4.340. It's just insane. I don't know if you can pass on a guy like this. You can sit him a year and you can really start to develop him, and then once he's ready to play, he could really take a game over. And we can see with guys like Justin Fields, you can see guys like Jalen Hurts, they're doing it after these, after a year of sitting and trying to figure things out, they're producing. So I think that would be my pick for the number 3 pick. I think I would go Anthony Richardson.
Oh, interesting.
Damn.
Alex, how do you feel?
I love Anthony Richardson. For me, I got him going forward to the Colts.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, to me, the Cardinals, Will Anderson Jr. makes a ton of sense. 6'4", 250 stack machine. You need a defensive leader, right? Like if JJ Watt retires, you got a new defensive court or a new head coach in Jonathan Gannon, the former Eagles DC. D-Hop wants to be traded. Budda Baker wants to be traded. You're looking for a new identity, a new defensive leader. Go get Will Anderson Jr. Now you've got a defensive leader and an offensive leader in Kyler, and build it that way. The Cardinals, Daniel Jeremiah said they got the worst roster in football. So, you got to address that need. I like Will Anderson Jr. He stays out of trouble. He seems to be the guy you want to build your franchise around.
Okay, and just to mix it up, I just got to say, my pick for the Cardinals at number 3 is offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. Kind of a wild card there, but they need some pass blocking help, and he's definitely the best in the draft this year, I think. So I think they might do something interesting there.
Yeah, the best pass blocking, I believe.
Yeah, no, Paris Johnson's a sneaky pick. He's a really good pass blocker. I think I only saw one rep where he truly got overpowered. He just has elite feet. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if you get him on his heels, he just has this weird recovery thing where he can get his feet set and then he can work with it. So it's definitely a sneaky pick. I would say that just for tackles, if you're going to get one, you probably want to get one of those 5 guys early. As far as edge guys, though, this class is crazy deep, and I mean crazy. You can get guys who can really produce all the way in the 4th round. So I would just say take that in mind when we're making some of these picks.
Yeah,
agreed. All right, so moving on from a team who's got a quarterback, let's look at the Colts, and we know their quarterback situation is a mess. Alex, what are you thinking there?
So I know people, and a lot of people are saying Will Levis here. And a lot of people are saying he's more pro-ready than Anthony Richardson, and that he's the safer pick, lower risk, stuff like that. But to me, you got to go the upside of Anthony Richardson. And can you imagine the combination of Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor in that backfield? That's a scary thought. You've already had Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, guys like that. Will Levis seems to fit that same mold, and I don't like it. I want a guy like Anthony Richardson, something new, someone that can threaten you with his legs and his arm. I love a backfield combination of 2 athletes like Taylor and Richardson. If it's Will Levis, I don't like it. I don't think it's a good fit in Indy.
Okay, Dom, any thoughts?
So only because I had Anthony Richardson going at 3, I had Will Levis at number 4. But it's only because I feel like a lot of teams are gonna like. They're just gonna like his build. He is the prototypical quarterback. What a lot of these teams are looking for as far as height, speed, weight type things. I will say though, While he's okay, I feel like he makes decent decisions. His accuracy's not really there. You know, he has kind of two tails of the film when it comes to him, where you'll see these throws where he looks like a Josh Allen, he can put things on the money. But then you'll see some other throws, you're like, why is he even throwing that pass? It makes zero sense. So I would definitely say I agree. That I think if you had to put somebody there, if it's not going to be Will Levis, I think it would be even Anthony Richardson, or you could even go Hendon Hooker, honestly, because these
Yeah.
guys are kind of that tier 2 quarterback.
I real quick, I agree with that because a lot of these teams, like the Raiders, have Jimmy G. You've got somebody that the young quarterback can sit behind for a little bit. In Indy, all you have is Gardner Minshew.
Right.
And how long is he going to be able to keep you from starting? I get the feeling Colts are going to want to start you like damn near week 1 or week 3 or week 5 at the latest. And is Anthony Richardson ready for that? Will Levis might be more ready. I kind of get that. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. It'll be interesting what Ursay and who's the GM over there? I always forget his name.
We're at
Indy?
Indy.
Yeah.
Is it it's Frank Reich and who's the actual
I
GM?
forget his name, but
I don't
whatever.
know. We've been throwing too many names around. I'm blinking too.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of throwing names around, all right, moving back to Seattle. So I know we have an edge heavy class. They definitely need an edge. They need some defense help. They need some receivers, some linebacker help. Dom, we'll have you go first on this one. What are you thinking there?
So this is where I had Will Anderson. And honestly, if it's not going to be Will Anderson, you could you could probably even go Jalen Carter, because I know they're in a position where they could go best player available. And let's be real, if we're talking about one of the few true blue chip prospects in the draft, it's probably Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll pick him over an edge because they really do need an edge, and that's why I like Will Anderson there. But they could absolutely go Jalen Carter, and he's just a monster. You really haven't seen anybody like him since Queenan Williams came out, and he had the highest metrics that any D tackle had ever recorded from PFF coming out of college. And you see what he's doing right now with the Jets, and the year he had. I just feel like if somebody was going to step in and want to really make an impact right away, it could be Jalen Carter or it could be Will Anderson. It's kind of your pick your poison.
I also see Tyree Wilson filling in that edge position for Seattle pretty well too.
Yeah, he's freaky. He's a freaky guy, and he really
Yes.
wins with power. He has some bend to him, but when it comes to just power, he's probably the most powerful edge rusher in the draft. Just violent hands. And there are many draft analysts, and I know for a fact a lot of teams who like Tyree Wilson more than they like Will Anderson.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams who I don't think consider Will Anderson the number 1 edge in this class.
Interesting. I know Pete Carroll likes some powerful players. I mean, look at who they have with DK and stuff on the team. Pete Carroll knows what to do with that power. Alex, what do you have Seattle taking?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I have Jalen Carter going here. It makes sense. Pete Carroll's willing to take the risk. He's willing to take like potentially character flawed or off the field issue players and put them in his environment and get the most out of them. He's done it time and time again. I love the fit of Jalen Carter here. Jalen Carter is a monster. He could easily go number 1, number 2 overall if it weren't for some of this other stuff. Jalen Carter, to me, the best comp for Jalen Carter is Aaron Donald. And I know that's super high praise, but I see it, and you could see it at Georgia. And so if Seattle gets him, one thing I got to say on Jalen Carter, he better go here to Seattle, because if he goes to Detroit, I'm going to lose my shit. He better not go to the Lions. I swear to God.
I'm right there with you. We're Packer fans, and we don't have the best interior offensive line, so that's the last person we want to see.
Yeah, especially in a rebuild.
Yeah.
Okay, well, since you brought them up at number 6, we've got the Lions. I know they've got some edge need, just like everybody else in the top 10. But we also have a really strong need for defensive linemen and cornerbacks. Alex, what do you see Detroit doing if Jalen Carter's not on the board anymore?
So no Jalen Carter. I go corner. I go Devin Witherspoon, college teammate of Kirby Joseph. Both physical, hard-hitting defensive backs out of Illinois. It makes a lot of sense. Jeff Okudah didn't work out, so let's go get Devin Witherspoon here. If Jalen Carter is available, I go Jalen Carter, but if not, I go Devin Witherspoon. Um, and because of that, he just seems like a Dan Campbell pick. I love me some Joey Porter Jr., but I think Devin Witherspoon goes here at 6.
Okay, well, that's a pretty high spot for Joey Porter. Honestly, I don't think I've seen him in the top 10 on any mock draft. So that's
He's my corner number 1. I love Joey.
okay. Interesting.
I think Joey's my corner number 2 or 3, but he's really good. He's just special. His reaction speed is just dumb.
Yeah, I have him as my second, but most of the mock drafts I've seen, he's going between 15 and 20 off the board.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I agree with the Devin Witherspoon pick. Just from what the Lions are trying to do, you know, like they have one of the sneakiest. I don't even know if you can consider it sneaky now. They're legit good. Like they have guys everywhere. And I just feel, even though, they added Emmanuel Mosley, they added Cameron Sutton, so they don't need, you know, a round 1 cornerback. But at the value there, I don't think you can really pass it up. He's honestly probably the best man cover corner in this draft. Like, he's just that good. He's feisty. He's exactly what they're looking for. You pair him with their defensive line. They're already crazy defensive line. I just feel like he's going to be a problem, especially for our Packers for years to come.
Yeah. It'll be a nice thorn in the side there for a while for our boys. That's all right. All right.
Yeah.
So cornerbacks, you guys talked about Devin Witherspoon. I had Christian Gonzalez going to the Raiders at number 7. I think they need a corner. You guys' opinions on number 7. Who do you have going?
I have the same.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Who is that? You got Christian Gonzalez too?
Yeah, I just feel like teams are gonna love his measurables. I don't think he, you know, he only, I mean, if you trust the PFF grade metrics, you know, he had an 81 grade for the season. I don't think he does. I don't think he's like, when you look at his tape, he's the best corner out there. But I just feel like when you combine his height, his weight, his speed, you know, Chris Gonzalez, he had a 996 RES score. He almost had a perfect RES score. He's exactly what some of these teams are looking for. He has the height. He's just physical enough. He likes to come downhill. He likes to hit. He can play man. He's smart enough to play in zone. I just feel like he's going to be what a lot of teams are looking for. You know, I feel like his run defense grade too is decently high for a cornerback. You can play him in the nickel. He had a 75 run defense grade. He had a pretty good tackling grade as well. I just feel like between that and his testing, he's kind of like those can't miss prospects.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree with me on cornerback there. I know some people, I think Alex, you have said that you don't think Jimmy G's gonna stick it out there with the Raiders, even though he just signed that 3-year deal. What do you think the Raiders should do here?
Yeah, I would go quarterback. I don't think that Jimmy G is the long-term starting quarterback answer. He can never stay healthy. I like Jimmy G. Brian Hoyer certainly not it. I believe is the backup to Garoppolo. I would consider if Will Levis is available here. I think the Raiders might go that. They might have an eye on Hendon Hooker. I do like Christian Gonzalez a lot. I have him falling a little bit, but I mean, there's no reason for it. He's a great player, great skill set, super long. They could go Tyree Wilson here if he's still on the board for the Raiders. I don't see how Jimmy G can be your long-term plan if you're Vegas. And I just think Josh McDaniel's screwing it up once again. He screwed it up in Denver, and I think he's screwing it up here in Vegas. He gets here and he runs Derek Carr out of town. You know, I don't trust Josh McDaniels, what he's doing there at all.
I mean, the team moved to Vegas, so now it's all about putting on a show, and Jimmy's the prettiest quarterback they've got, so he pulled him over to put on a show, I guess.
I'd rather have an ugly quarterback if Jimmy G's getting hurt all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tyree Wilson falls down to the Falcons at number 8. But we'll see. I think you might be right about quarterback there, because I mean, Jimmy G can pull off a couple of good games, pull through when he needs to, and then the next season he just can't recover. So it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, I think they hope that it's Anthony Richardson and not Will Levis. I think they're hoping the Colts go Will Levis so they can grab Anthony Richardson. And that gives them a little bit more time to sit behind Jimmy. Even if he gets hurt, Jimmy can come back again next year. You know, you can flow play Anthony Richardson a lot better than Will Levis, I think.
Yeah, they need to Aaron Rodgers him and keep him on the bench for a few years.
Yeah.
It worked, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Dom, how we feeling about the Falcons at number 8?
So this is tough because I feel like for me, for that first tier of edge rushers, you know, that really comprise of, I feel like it should be Will Anderson, probably Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, and Tyree Wilson. I
Yep.
would say for those guys who are still left on the board, it could be Tyree Wilson. But then it could be also Nolan Smith. You know, they did bring in David Omanyata. He's a good D lineman, so they don't really have a crazy need at their D tackle position anymore. But I just feel like for what we know about Nolan Smith, I mean, the crazy, crazy, crazy testing. You know, the guy runs a 4.3 40 at 200 and almost 245 pounds. He's 6'3" or 6. Yeah, he's about 6'3". He's big enough, surprisingly good against the run. I mean, like surprisingly, the guy graded in the 90s for his run defense for a 235-pound guy. And once again, he's one of those guys who was asked to play a lot of, like, weirdly enough, like sometimes he played 4-eye, sometimes he play inside linebacker. He has a lot of positional versatility, but his football character, you know, like, yo, their teams won't stop raving about this guy. I just feel like he could be a really good fit, and we know that Atlanta likes their athletes.
Yeah. I
That's true.
agree. I agree
Yeah.
100%. Tyree Wilson to Atlanta makes a lot of sense if he's there and available. Um, a little nugget though, former Falcons All-Pro defensive end John Abraham really wants the team to draft Georgia edge Nolan Smith. He likes
That's my
Nolan Smith
guy.
a
I'm
lot.
telling you, that's what I was just raving about. Nolan Smith is a monster.
Yeah, he said he reminds him of a young Von Miller. So
It's
if
high praise.
some if John Abraham's gonna talk to me about pass rushers, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen some people talking about how the Falcons really need some running back support. The only who do you guys think, if anyone was gonna draft a running back in the first round, who do you think your number 1 running back would be?
Oh, that's easy. It's going to
Yeah.
be Bijan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Question
I've
is,
seen
where is he going?
I've seen a couple people say he's going to Atlanta, so I'll be interested to see if they mix it up and pull a running back in the top 10.
You know, this is where I'm kind of conflicted because, you know, like, I think the hardest thing for people to kind of make that decision is really take that first round running back. Like, it's tough in their mind because we know that you can go and get a 7th round prospect, and as long as you got a good line, he can produce. But when you got a guy like Bijan,
Yes.
he really changed things. But
He
you
might
have
be
to keep
worth
in
it.
mind the Falcons also have Tyler Algier, who, as a rookie, I
Yep.
think he went for over 800 or 900 yards. Like, he had a surprisingly good rookie season. So
Oh,
I'm not sure if they need a running back.
You
They could
got to have that
definitely go
1-2
grab.
punch though.
Oh yeah, that's true, and that would be a heck of a 1-2 punch. Those are both big backs.
It's true.
yeah. Um, Bijan to Atlanta, I would love it. Tyler Algier, yeah, I believe he went for 1,000 yards and is the first Falcon running back to go for 1,000 since Devontae Freeman. So I think they like Tyler Algier. They got Cordell Patterson still. Um, I don't think I think they go edge, and Tyree Wilson seems to make the most sense. But I love the fact of Bijan going top 10, and I got a little nugget coming up. I'll save that. That's a teaser.
Okay, all right, I like it. All right, so I mean, you with your Nuggets over here. Let's talk about your Bears. What do you see
All right.
them needing?
So you're talking about Paris Johnson Jr. going a lot earlier. I'm hoping he slips all the way down to 9. That would be a dream scenario for me. Is Paris Johnson to the Bears. We need O-line help desperately. I think we'll be happy with PJJ, Skaronski, any of these guys. Darnell Wright, Broderick Jones. Like, Justin Fields was breaking David Carr sack records last year. So we need to protect this guy. If he's going to be our franchise quarterback, we need to give him a chance to throw the ball, and keep him upright.
Yeah.
He was absolutely running for his life. The only way I wouldn't go offensive line here is look, the Bears are not smart enough to do this. But man, take Bijan. I don't give a shit about the offensive line for a pick for a round. Take Bijan Robinson and imagine the backfield of Justin Fields and Bijan. Like, sign me up for that, but they won't do it.
I don't want it. I don't want
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm glad they're too stupid to do that.
Exactly.
Sigh of relief over here. If Tyree Wilson drops that low, I could see them needing some edge help. So maybe Tyree Wilson or Lucas Van Ness as well. I could see
Yeah.
that
Sneaky
too.
picks. Sneaky picks.
Tyree for sure. Skip me on Van Ness. Give me PJJ over Van Ness.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I think Paris Johnson's probably gonna, man, if it's not Paris Johnson, I think it's probably, and this is my favorite tackle of the draft. It's probably gonna be Darnell Wright if it's not Paris Johnson.
Okay.
And they're both big guys, but they play a little differently. Whereas Paris Johnson is really just a crazy athlete and really makes his money in pass protection. He's a bit of a lunger in the pass game. He's really good on the move, but he's a bit of a lunger. Whereas Darnell Wright, you can beat this guy with speed, but as we saw, he shut down every major person he played last year for major competition. He shut them all down, and he's a mauler in the run game. And I think he's a sneaky pick to get picked right here by Chicago, because I think if he doesn't get picked by Chicago, then if he's still on the board for Philly, I think they take him. And it's just a stupid pick because that team just runs over everyone and they just be adding another guy. But I like Paris Johnson here. I feel like he's perfect for what the Bears are trying to do.
Yeah.
Real quick, how do you feel about Skoronski to the Bears? I know a lot of Chicago fans love the Northwestern kid.
Hey, Skoronski's great, but I feel like because of his lack of arm length, I feel like a lot of teams are going to say, you know what, this guy, he can survive at tackle, and he could even be an above average tackle. But I think he's going to be a really, really good guard.
Yeah, and we don't need a round 2 of Tevin Jenkins.
Right.
I mean, he's good, but yeah, we need a true tackle. Yeah.
I mean, if I was rooting for the Bears, I would say hopefully Jalen Carter drops down to number 9 for the Bears. I think they could definitely use Jalen Carter, but I don't think he'll drop that low.
No, but man, if we're smart, Bijan, but we're not. I highly doubt it.
All right, so dropping down to number 10, who definitely needs a running back.
Yeah.
We got the Eagles. They could also use some corner help, some edge help, some defensive line help. What are you thinking, Dom?
And I think this is where the Eagles just say, screw it. They have one of the best lines, bar none, in the league. And I think if they add that piece in Bijan, they just get stupid. And then it's a real problem because the NFC we know is kind of wide open unless you're the Eagles. Right? Yeah. So I just feel like you add Bijan to the mix and it's a wrap. You can kind of punch their ticket to that fucking playoffs and all the way to the NFC Championship, in my point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
that would be so scary.
Unfortunately.
It makes sense because Miles Sanders goes to Carolina. You got an opening. Gainwell's a running back too, in my opinion. He's a solid back. I love him, but he's a running back too. Get you a Bijan Robinson. Imagine the backfield of Jalen Hurts and Bijan. So difficult to defend right there. And then you got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You look at what happened to the 49ers when they added Christian McCaffrey, how that offense opened up even more. Bijan would do that in Philly. Best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley coming out of college, in my opinion. He can do it all. He can make you miss. He can run you over. He can pass block, pass catch. No weaknesses on this dude. I love Bijan. If the Bears took him, I would be in love. But I think the Eagles take him, and yeah, they're going to be so tough to beat if they take him.
Like they aren't already.
Yeah. It'll be wild. I hope he goes top 10, though. I'm tired. So tired of this. Don't draft running backs in the first round. Don't pay running backs. With guys like Bijan and Roquan Smith and Saquon Barkley, guys like that, we need to stop labeling them as a running back or an off-the-ball linebacker. We need to start valuing the actual talent that these guys have. Some players are better than the position they play. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Yeah. And when my Bears head coach, Eberflus, makes comments like that where he's evaluating the position of the player, it kind of turns me off after 1 year, you know. So I hate to see, uh, the media pushes this stuff, and you've even got some GMs and some head coaches pushing it, and I can't stand it.
Yeah. Can't argue with any of that.
Rant over, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, I think we all feel the same way
Yeah.
as people who love the sport, but we also like really love the players. Like you got to
Yeah.
evaluate them individually. Like, yeah, historically, the running back position, you can kind of swap anyone in or out, but there are some players who are just elite and you need to recognize their talent for who they are and not the position they're placed in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
as a Packer fan, we know that, right?
Mhm.
As far as pass blocking, the Packers' offensive line is normally top 5 every single year because we love taking tackles and converting them and moving them in the inside. But when you look at the run blocking, we're sub 50 across the board most
Ugh.
years. And when you have a back like Aaron Jones who
Mhm.
can make you right almost 80% of the time, it can really change your team. So yeah, running backs are definitely undervalued today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Agreed. All right, guys, we got to move on. All right, so we've got the Titans coming in at number 11. I think Alex, you were talking about the guy I have in here. We like the Northwestern kid here, right?
Yeah, Peter Skoronsky. That makes sense. They need a tackle upgrade. They lost Taylor Lewan. They could also go wide receiver. And there's some talk if the Texans don't take CJ Stroud or if he falls to 3, a potential trade candidate is the Titans to trade up for potentially CJ Stroud. That's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I agree with you. I got Peter Skoronsky here.
Dom, who do you have?
I agree. I like Peter Skoronsky. I think he, like you said, he offers you that position of versatility. If I didn't go Peter, I'd probably go edge, but they just got 2 edge guys in Arden Key and Aziz Al Shaher, so they don't really need an edge. They could still probably use the upgrade, but it's a super deep draft. I like to pick Peter Skoronsky. He's a good pickup.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if they don't go Skoronski, they should go receiver, go after Flowers.
Okay.
First receiver off the board to them. I think they could definitely use some upgrade in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so moving on to other teams who need to talk about quarterbacks. We've got the Texans at number 12. We definitely need some offensive help here, guys. What are you going to do?
This is where I think I hate the Texans because I think what they're going to do is if they, in fact, take CJ Stroud at that number 2 pick, then why wouldn't you give him his favorite receiver at number 12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Right? Like it's not too far off than what we think he's going to be. He's the first guy coming off the board as far as a receiver. He's a little bit of a mixed bag. He doesn't have the deep speed, but he has elite quicks. He's elite at navigating the middle of the field. You got guys like Chris Olave and Wilson telling everyone that he was the best in that 2021 season out of all 3 of them. And one of those was the offensive rookie of the year. The other guy went over 1,000 yards as well. So I really think he's a can't miss prospect, which is weird because you don't normally see slots go that high. But I think he can run on the outside, but I think he's more of a pure slot. But I think this is going to be the pick.
Yeah, and they have so much chemistry already. Why would you
Right.
not?
Absolutely. So in the case of they don't take CJ Stroud at 2 and they take like Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson, a nugget to keep an eye on here at 12. I watched the Peter King mock draft, and he said he spoke to someone who said keep an eye on potentially Hendon Hooker here at 12.
Oh, okay.
I
My
think I
my
think that would be a
quarterback
mistake.
picks, my
Uh,
quarterback picks for them, if they didn't take a quarterback in 2, were Levis or Hooker. So that's
Yeah.
yeah,
interesting to see his name.
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to definitely keep a note of that one and pay attention on draft night.
Yeah, Texans are gonna be so much fun to see what they do.
Yeah. Speaking of fun, all right, Dom, we're going into our rebuild. Packers at number 13, just moved up from 15. What are we doing here?
Man, so this is like one of those weird spots where I feel like you could definitely, for the Packers, you could trade back and get more draft value and probably still get the guys you want. We know that the Packers need tight ends, but this is way too early for a tight end. It's just in my opinion. I don't think like Kincaid goes this early. You know the Packers need they want some edge help. They could definitely use D tackle help, but there's really nobody left in the D tackle range for this value. I think if anything, they'll probably defer to one of their preferred positions in the first round. We know they like to take cornerbacks. We know they like to take edge rushers. not until last year did they take an off-ball linebacker. But I think that if you're the Packers, I think you're either probably going to go Lucas Van Ness or Myles Murphy. If it's me, I think I'd probably rather go down all right. But if I'm talking about what the Packers are going to do, I think they're going to go edge. Lucas Van Ness is definitely the Packers type coming from Iowa. He's going to have that background. He has the strength. He had the speed. He has elite testing. And he was a rotational player and still walked away with 7 sacks. Myles Murphy is a Rashawn Gary clone with more production. So it's really a pick your poison, but I think they are probably going to go Lucas Van Ness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see him going receiver. If JSN is still on the board, I see him taking him. Big Bob Tonyan ran off to Chicago, so we definitely need tight end, but I do think 13 is way too high to take a tight end. Alex, what are you thinking?
Yeah, don't you think that would be a big slap in the face to Aaron Rodgers as the second he gets out of town, suddenly we're picking wide receivers in round 1?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But you know what? Hey, after that press conference today, they're not pulling no punches.
Hey, if JSN's there, that would be a hell of a pick. And look, Jordan Love era begins, right? You want to put him in the best position to be successful. You got to surround him with weapons. And, I like Dobbs. I like Watson. But you lost Tonyan. And maybe this is the hater in me hoping you guys reach, but I would go tight end here because
you would.
what's a young quarterback's best friend, though? Tight end. Look at Jalen Hurts and Goddard. Look at Mahomes and Kelsey. You give Jordan Love either Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid, whichever one you like. That's a go-to option right off the bat. And maybe he develops chemistry.
Or you could wait till the second round and not waste the pick, though.
Tight end's the most it's the hardest position to draft outside of quarterback. It's the hardest position to draft in the NFL. Besides your top 3 or 4 guys in the league, everybody else is kind of just real inconsistent. So I mean, that's a pick your poison.
Do you see Mayer or Kincaid as that good a tight end or no?
No.
For what the Packers do, for all the RPO stuff and the inline stuff, I don't. I think that probably out of any of them who can turn out to be the best and most impactful player is probably going to be Kincaid. But for what the Packers ask guys to do, I don't think they need to reach in the first round for a tight end in this class. Even when this class is pretty decent at tight end, it's really good.
All right. You guys are the experts on Green Bay. I'll side with you guys on this one for sure.
Yeah, you can defer to us with that. But I mean, a minute ago you were saying about you got to get your quarterback the weapons that they need. I mean, this is Green Bay we're talking about. We absolutely refuse to get our quarterback the weapons that he needs. Oh, this is what the quarterback needs. He's a 4-time MVP, Hall of Fame quarterback. No, fuck him, dude. We're not going with that. We'll get him anything else.
And Green Bay, for some reason, they never pick who you think they're going to pick. They'll always just surprise the heck out of you with these picks that they make.
Oh my goodness. The amount of times I have cussed my phone out watching the Packers trade down away from TJ Watt. Oh my God.
Oh, I still remember that draft.
I was shopping once at a grocery store and I just started cussing out of nowhere. And this mom with her son was just like, "Oh, honey." And she hustles him away from me. But oh my God, the Packers draft choices piss me off year after year. And I expect nothing less this year.
Yeah, same.
All right, let's move on from the hot topic there. Patriots, Alex, what do you think they're going?
So I don't know if this is realistic or not, but I got Christian Gonzalez falling all the way to 14, and this would be a perfect pick for Bill Belichick. Christian Gonzalez, I mean, the Patriots would be really happy with that. Great value pick if he's available at 14.
Okay.
I know. I mean, I do like I like the fact that you're going corner.
Yeah, I would go Porter Jr. That's a little bit more realistic, probably.
Yeah, he's more likely to be available there. I was thinking Porter too.
Yeah, if they go cornerback, I'd probably go Porter Jr. If they don't, then I'm probably going to go offensive tackle, and you go with one of those last really true tackles that can win, and I think I'd give them Darnold Wright. He's just too good.
You don't think Broderick Jones would be a good fit there?
So I like Broderick Jones. I like him in pass protection, but when you break his film down and you watch his run blocking, he's another lunger. He dips his head a lot. He's really good on the move. You're not going to really find a more athletic guy, and he's strong as hell. But for some reason, he's a hugger sometimes in pass pro, so he's still trying to figure out his hands.
Yeah.
And when he's run blocking, he dips his head a lot, which can lead to him being on the floor quite a bit. And that's the last thing you want from your tackles is being on the floor. So I think I'm going to go with the guy who also played in the SEC, but won against the elite competition.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move down to number 15. The Jets have been busy this offseason.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for
What
sure.
do we think their holes are?
One tackle, right? Opposite Becton.
Yeah, they need
So
a
I-
tackle. They need a safety, but obviously we're not looking at safeties in the first round usually. Do we think this is a spot for Broderick Jones? Do we
I
think they're
do.
looking
Yeah,
at Harris if
Yeah.
he drops that low? What are we thinking?
I
I
think
think
it's probably
Broderick.
going to be Broderick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to protect the old man, right?
Hey now.
And I'm not slandering the guy neither. He's a really good prospect. I mean, he's probably one of those top 5 tackles that if you're going to go reach and grab one, go get one. And we know that that's one of the spots that the Jets can improve, especially when you're bringing Aaron Rodgers in. You're going to want to make sure that you keep this, borderline 40-year-old quarterback clean and upright. So give him as many chances as you can. Broderick's a good pick.
Real
Okay.
quick, try and put your biases aside here. What do you think of the Jets? You get Aaron Rodgers at least for 1 year, maybe 2. You got a nasty defense. You got Brees Hall coming back. You got weapons at receiver. You can address some of that in this draft. Very tough division, though. How do you see the Jets with Aaron Rodgers? You guys know Aaron Rodgers better than anyone.
This is
I
the first
just can't.
time. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just can't wait for some Bills Jets head to
Yeah,
head. You know I
exactly.
love my boy Josh Allen. So I
It's
am
gonna be
looking forward
so
to that
fun.
so much.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He goes to the toughest division in football.
Yeah.
It was definitely interesting, but I think if you're trying to set the former 2-time MVP in these last 3 years, if you're trying to set him up and you give him a top 5 defense, which is what the Jets have, and he
Yeah.
hasn't had that since 2010, the last time he won the Super Bowl. And you
Yep.
saw these last. I mean, he regressed last year, but that was a lot with that had a lot to do with new players coming in and trying to figure
Mhm.
things out. So I don't think Aaron Rodgers is far away from his MVP season, and you give him a great defense that can keep him on the field.
Yeah.
I think that's the Jets' best shot at going far into the playoffs.
Well, I
Yeah.
know
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to insert something here. I know he's been doing a lot of the following in Brett Favre's footsteps, their lone Super Bowl, their age 27 year, 39, moved to the Jets after their 15th season as a starting quarterback. Do we think he's going to go 8-3 to start the season, then injure his throwing arm and end the season, 9-8? Like what else can he do to copy Favre at this point? I mean, may as well replicate the first season with the Jets, right?
Hey, let's hope they draft Broderick Jones and keep him upright, and then that won't happen.
There.
Yeah, if Zach Wilson's forced into action, they're definitely going 9-8 or worse.
Oh my God, that sweet boy needs to shut his mouth and get a better publicist because, oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. That division's going to be tough, but again, all you got to do is get into the tournament, right? The only time Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl came from the 6th seed, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So you never know. But that's going to be a very fun division. And wait until Tom Brady comes out of retirement and goes to the
Hmm.
Dolphins.
God, please no. I've had enough of him. All right, he's won enough. He's got enough rings. He's running out of fingers. Like, just stay retired this time. All right, Dom, how are we feeling about the Commanders? We know they need some cornerback help. Who do we think is still going to be on the board for them?
Oh, man, I feel like Joey Porter's there, but I like him. I can't. I see Joey Porter wearing yellow and black. I'm not sure if I see him with the Washington Commanders, but I don't. Also, now that they went and got Andrew Wiley so they can kick Sam Cosmi inside, they have a pretty decent offensive line, so they don't really need offensive linemen. I think they have to go cornerback, and if you're going to go cornerback, the best guy you can pick up is Joey Porter.
Okay, if he's not on the board, how do you feel about Deontay Banks?
I like Deontay Banks is sneaky. You know, the guy broke up, what was it, 16 pass breakups last
Mhm.
year? Like
Yeah.
it's very high. He's very fast, but he's also like he's just as agile as he is fast. He's a sneaky pick, and I know for a fact he's going to be a first round pick. Yeah, I could definitely see Deontay Banks there.
Okay. Alex, how do you feel about him? I know you had him going a bit lower.
Yes, I love Joey Porter Jr. here. There's three corners that are elite, potential, and then there's the next tier. I think Deontay Banks is that next tier. I got him going to the Vikings at 23, who need corner help. I like Emmanuel Forbes is good, and I like Cam Smith, Keely Ringo as well. So I think,
Sneaky pick.
I could be talked into taking Cam Smith or a couple of these guys ahead of Banks. Honestly, I could be a hater, but that's just my opinion on them.
I
Do
feel
you
no,
have
Cam Smith is good. Keely Ringo is good. I think I like Emmanuel Forbes more than I like Cam Smith, but those are
Yeah,
sneaky picks.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I have Emmanuel Forbes on my list lower than Banks, but definitely higher than Smith.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So who did we say we see wearing yellow for the Steelers at 17?
That's why I kind of liked Joey Porter there. He
Okay.
screams Steeler, coming out of
Yeah.
Penn State,
Yeah.
physical. He just screams Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I
I
would
know
love
they
that.
I know they need some edge help too. So if he's not on the board still, because I know there's a lot of places we've mentioned Joey Porter so far. If he's not on the board, what do we feel about edges for them? Who's going to be available?
Man, if the Packers don't pick Lucas Van Ness, then he's a prototypical Steeler for sure. Edges that are left in the first round that are really going to make an impact.
Nolan Smith?
Nolan Smith would be a really good pick. God, he
Yeah,
would fit them too.
Yeah,
I
actually.
I
Man,
have a hard time seeing Nolan Smith falling all the way to 17, but if he's there, that feels like a very Steelers pick.
yeah,
And
It does.
and Lucas Van Ness seems like a very Dan Campbell pick to me
That's
oh
at
fair.
yeah.
at 18.
This has got to be the most stacked edge class we've seen in I don't
Yeah.
know how many years though. I mean, Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith, Van Ness, like they just keep going. It's insane.
Right? And those impactful guys, you can get impactful guys who had 14 sacks last year in college and
Yeah.
all the way to the third round. It's ridiculous.
I mean, Will McDonald, I can see him going low first round too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best pure speed rusher in this draft, bar none.
Yeah. All right. All right. So let's move on to our NFC North friends, the Lions. How are we feeling about them guys? What do they need?
Man, the Lions. This is kind of a luxury pick. They could, if they wanted to, they could go best pick available.
Zay Flowers, if he's still on the board, I think they could use some receiving help.
Yeah, especially with Jameson suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, who's not suspended on their team right now?
Jared
I
Goff.
think that
That's
might be the
about
best pick for them.
it.
He has inside-outside versatility that could stick him in the slot once he comes back. Man, Zay Flowers is a good pick. I also, man, see, he didn't test well, but I also really, really like Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
watching the film.
Yeah. I know I'm talking a lot of fear about the Lions here, but if I'm the Lions and I want, I think if they run it back with Goff, Goff's proven throughout his career he's not consistently good, right? Last year was one of the best years of his career. He's not doing that 2 years in a row. I think there's a good chance the Lions miss the playoffs next year because I don't trust Goff that much. If I'm the Lions, I want to make a statement. I take a couple of these picks and I try to go get Lamar Jackson. Now we're contenders. Now we're the favorites to win the North. If the Lions got Lamar Jackson, now they're scary. Goff doesn't scare anybody. I'm sorry.
See,
Yeah.
they have the privilege of having an elite offensive line and a really good
Yeah.
running game. So they
Yeah.
can kind of just play the game
Oh.
manager and not let him go crazy.
Speaking of that, David Montgomery might have a career year there. That's scary too.
Yeah.
Really
I was
good
gonna
line. It's a top
I don't know
5
if your
line in the league.
quarterback needs to be scary with that type of running and an O line. Like,
Man,
Yeah.
Goff is gonna throw pick sixes. Just wait.
He's
I
gonna give
mean,
you 2 or 3 a game. He's gonna give you 2 or 3 opportunities. You just gotta get them.
I mean, if they don't go receiver, I could see them wanting to bulk up the D line a bit too.
Oh yeah, I got them going Van Ness. I mean,
Okay.
Dan Campbell's building a monster over there on that defensive side of the ball. You add him to Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Pascal, now you got Van Ness. That's pretty crazy.
And I was a huge fan of Josh Pascal. He was a sneaky pick for them last year too, along with
Yeah.
Hutchinson, and a crazy athlete.
Yeah, they got
Yep.
graded well for that pick. That was smart.
Mm-hmm.
All right, speaking of smart coaches, let's move on to the Bucks. What do we think, Alex?
I'm going Darnell Wright here. If he's available, this seems to be the common sense pick. Put him opposite Tristan Wirfs and protect your boy Baker Mayfield.
My boy. He's just so fun to watch play. I know he's sassy and I know he's fiery, but he's just entertaining. Like, I don't care if he wins or loses. That man has something to say after the game. His publicist needs to be fired, but I mean, pure entertainment, that kid, I swear.
Baker Mayfield's the Uncle Rico of the NFL.
Oh my God, yes. That is the perfect description. Nailed it. I know that
Kyle
the
Trask
Bucks
too. That
the
should
Bucks
be
could
his
use
guy.
an edge if he's still on the board for sure. Van Ness could go there.
Yep.
Our offensive tackle, what are you thinking for them?
I think because they moved on from Donovan Smith, so I think they kind of have to go offensive tackle. But
Yeah.
they could try and reach for one. See, my problem is after those first like 5 tackles, there's a bit of a drop off for tackle, and then
Yeah.
it's more of a projection. And if they're looking for a starter, I'm not so sure that they're going to find their guy if it's not going to be a development guy, especially because they play bully ball up front, you know? So if you're going to grab a guy, he just needs to be really, really good at run blocking. So if they're looking for a tackle, I don't know if they'll find the value there. If they go edge, they can grab one of a whole bunch of guys. They could grab Will McDonald. They could grab Felix Anaduke Uzama. There's guys to grab. It's just really what's their flavor right there. I think they're probably going to end up going edge if Darnell Wright's not there on the board.
What do you feel about Anton Harrison there for a tackle?
Ooh, okay. So this is where Anton Harrison for me is in that second tier of tackles. I feel like he's going to be very, very good and pass. He kind of reminds me of Zach Tom. You know, he's a little bit undersized, but has a prototypical height. He's really good at pass coverage. He has a really, really great feet, an elite athlete. Just kind of lacking in the run department. And I know that they like to play bully ball up front. So I could see Anton Harrison or even Wanye Morris. They're kind of the similar mold type players.
Okay. Interesting. Alex, what are we thinking about Seattle? I know we've had a bit of a mix up there the past couple of years. What do you think they need most? And who do you think is going to be left that would fill that hole?
I think Pete Carroll is obsessed with building a monster on defense. If he goes Jalen Carter at 5, that's off to a hell of a start. And what if he's able to grab like Miles Murphy at 20? That would be building something nasty in a hurry.
Jesus.
I mean, that would be quite the pair of picks there.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
also see them going Hendon Hooker if he's still available.
Yeah, it makes a lot of
sure.
sense. Yeah.
Sit him behind
Even-
let him learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can afford to do it. It's not like Drew Lock's gonna, cut Drew Lock. He's not any good.
I mean, most quarterbacks that come out of Denver don't really do much. Oof. All right, so now that we're out on the West Coast, Dom, how do we feel about the Chargers? We know they need some receiver help, tight end, running back, all offense for them. Who do you see them taking?
They need receiver. I just don't know if their receivers on the board right here. I said I liked Jordan Addison early. I don't know if I like the fit with them. They could go tight end. I mean, we could see tight end come off the board. I feel like if they're
Kincaid?
looking for a weapon, probably Kincaid. I think I like Kincaid over Michael Mayer because Michael Mayer is more possession. He's not as quick. He's a middle of the field connoisseur, but he's not really a deep stretcher. So I think that if they're looking for a weapon that could change their offense offensively, you might just want to go Dalton Kincaid.
Is Jalen Hyatt off the board?
He's not, but I don't see Hyatt going this early. He does have the speed, but he's just a weird prospect because he played in that Tennessee offense and they split their guys out wide, so they're not really playing in an NFL offense. And a lot of those touches were manufactured for him, so it's hard to say exactly where he's going to go because he's a hard scout.
Yeah, I see so many receivers going in these last 10 picks of the first round. I mean, Quentin Johnston's going to go off the board. Zay Flowers, if he's still around, he'll be gone. I don't know if Hyatt's going to be a first rounder, but I definitely see some more receivers and tight ends falling off the board here in the next few.
That's my best fit. If Zay Flowers is available, he fits what the Chargers are building, I think, really well.
Okay.
You already got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer. Then you had Zay Flowers. I like that. They need to bring back Austin Eckler is what they need to do.
No, yeah, actually.
So starting to wrap this up, let's go like what are 3 picks or 3 players in the rest of this first round that you're looking at? I'll go first. So 27 or let's see, 26, 27, 28 is where I have the Cowboys going Dalton Kincaid. They lost Dalton Schultz. That makes a lot of sense to me for the Cowboys. Bills, I got them going Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh, I like that.
I keep giving the Bills a running back every year. I gave them Breece Hall last year. I give them a running back. I gave them ETN a couple of years ago. Jahmyr Gibbs would make them scary with Josh Allen and then James Cook. And then at 28, tight end to the Bengals, Darnell Washington. Monster, 6'7", 260. Reminds me of Julius Thomas, if you remember that name.
Oh, I remember that name. Yeah. I'm married to a Broncos fan. I can't forget that name. Julius, Demarius, too many Thomases.
What do you guys think? What's 3 names to keep an eye on here the rest of this draft?
I think I like for Cincinnati at 28. I think I'm a big Brian Branch fan. He didn't test out elite, but when you look at the film and you look at what he put out on tape, he's elite. I mean, he's as close to, I mean, outside of the testing, he's as close to a blue chip safety as you're going to find. Now, is he a traditional safety? No, he's definitely playing in that star position, the nickel role. But we've seen how pivotal today in the NFL, how some of these defenses are sticking with nickel and dime defenses. So that's your regular starter in today's league. So I feel like Brian Branch is a sneaky pick for Cincinnati for sure. For Buffalo, when I think of Buffalo, I think of their pass rush. And when you think about a guy who's kind of gone unnoticed because of his lack of production this year, he kind of dropped off. Everything that's going on in his life, the injury, his sister dying, Brian Breezy, man, there's not too many guys built like him at 6'5", 300 pounds. He has the length, he has the speed, he has the pass rushing moves. He can hold up in run defense, especially if you play him at his preferred position, I feel like, which is going to be 5 technique over tackle. I feel like he's going to be a real sneaky pick if he goes in the first round. I can see why some teams would stay away. And then also Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston, he has a chance to go to Minnesota. I mean, they did lose Adam Thielen, and they need another guy to pair down there. Which, man, that awesome receiver they have right there that we hate seeing once a year. But I think Quentin Johnston he could definitely go to Minnesota. They like their freaks, and he would just be another freak to add to them.
Oh yeah, that would be scary. I love Breezy, young Breezy is what I call him.
Yo, he's like an interesting pick because I feel like any team who's looking for a solid D lineman is going to grab him, and he's going to go in the first. I just don't know who's going to grab him. He's just up there. This class is so, I feel like, late to early to even late second round heavy that these teams could grab a myriad of guys and they'll fit.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where Breezy and Cansey go. I know we haven't mentioned Kalijah Cansey yet, but I see him in the bottom 8 or 9 of the first round, and I'll be intrigued to see who takes him because there are quite a few teams that he'd be a good fit for.
I agree.
I think he'd be great for the Saints.
Ooh,
yeah.
Saints?
Yeah. I think he could. I mean, he could fill that hole there. I think he could also be a good fit for Baltimore as well at 22.
Those are good picks. And he's sneaky too, especially Chancey, because everybody who views him as undersized, you see the Aaron Donald comparisons because of their size.
Yeah.
But on the inside, Kalijah Chancey, he's not going to be your traditional 2-gapper, but he can play the 3 technique with the best of them. He's already low. You can't really move him out of his spot. He's explosive. He's fast. He has
Yeah.
everything you're looking for. It just depends on what scheme he goes to. I feel like he has to go to a 4-3 scheme where he can just play truly a 3 technique. He wouldn't survive in a Packers, odd front gap and a half.
No, no, definitely not. I feel like that's a situation where like the coaching and the player combination is going to be important more so just than just plugging him into, any team that needs that position filled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
him and the other guy from Northwestern, that Adetomiwa Adebawore. He's like
Mhm.
in the same build. He's kind of like in between that tweener size, 6'2", 280, super fast. The guy ran a 4.4, like a 4.49 at 280 pounds. It's unheard of.
Jeez.
So speaking of players in the first round that we want to keep an eye on, I know we've talked a lot about this year's edge class. We've got Miles Murphy off the board. We've got, Will McDonald coming down to the bottom of the first. How do we feel about BJ? Do we think he's going in the first or is he dropping to the second?
Ooh.
Ojulari?
Yeah.
I love that dude. I love his brother Aziz. If he can stay healthy, he's a monster along with Thibodeau. BJ, I think he could go late first round. I think he's probably second round, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna be rooting for him wherever he goes. I love those Ojulari kids.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think he should be a first round. I think he should be a first round pick because of the overall depth of the class. I think he's going to end up being a second round pick. But there's nothing he can't do outside of like purely power rushing and long arming people. He has every other move you can think of, with especially with the bend. He has the best bend in the class.
Mhm. I have him going to the Chiefs at 31 if they don't get Jahmyr Gibbs. I can see them going running back or BJ there at the end just to mix things up,
If the Chiefs get Gibbs, I'm throwing something in my TV. I'm just warning.
Oh,
warning them.
I love your pick of him going to the Bills. I'm rooting for that. I just circled it on my chart over here because I like that. They could use him for sure. I hadn't even thought that. I was thinking edge or receiver for them, but that's
My
one of
two
my favorite
picks,
picks so far today.
my two picks every draft, I go ahead and write it down. It's Packers receiver, Bills running back every year.
How does that first one work out for you every year? Because I'm pretty sure I've been saying that for about 5 years now, and
It's not cool.
the ownership in Green Bay, man, I tell you.
Oh God, it's horrible.
As I
But
sit
man,
next to my shareholders plaque over here, don't mind me.
Same. We can share in our misery of not knowing what the heck they're going to do in the first round every single year.
Got it. Every year.
well, this is awesome, man. We're gonna have to get this combination back on another episode. This is a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the draft tomorrow night. Good shit, guys. You guys brought it, and this was an awesome episode.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, appreciate you for
Great
bringing
chatting,
us
guys.
on.
So hey, if we got a Bears Packers game coming up, you guys are first on my list to have on the show.
I'm not sure we'll let you get a word in edgewise, but yeah, Dom and I can definitely do a cast together.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a tough game. Be a lot of shit talking.
Hell yeah.
The usual.
This might be the year
Everybody-
for you to do it, though. This might be the year for you to get all your shit talking in.
Yeah, finally, our owner now is on the Jets, so now we can
Yeah.
relax.
He's out of the Midwest. Dom, my favorite thing to say to Alex, knowing that Rodgers was leaving town, is like, oh no, the Packers are going to trade for Justin Fields. So then our quarterback room will be Fields of Love, and he will not, he does not tolerate that. So if you ever need to push some buttons, I got you.
Yeah, you wish. Well, all
Just
right,
think of
good.
the fantasy name potential, man.
What field of love?
Fields of Love. Oh, so good.
But all right, well, good stuff as always. Everyone that listened, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Looking for the draft tomorrow night. Can't wait. And thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Dom. Good stuff. And peace out.
All right, bye.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.